Hi, everyone. It's Sean from Beyond the Wheel podcast. RV travel is bigger than ever this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. RV businesses are doing really well. We reached out to our friends at RVnGO to talk about the RV rental business in general, as well as what they are doing at RVnGO to facilitate a true peer-to-peer RV rental platform, as well as some partnerships they are developing. Whether you are considering renting an RV for a trip or renting out your RV to guests, you should take a look at this preview video. Also, the full episode will be on the Beyond the Wheel podcast website or on the podcast platform of your choice very soon. Lots of good information here, so we hope you enjoy it and learn something new at the same time.
There's acute undersupply. I'm going to share my screen, but for people who might just be listening, this is, I derived this demand and supply curve. So this is the existing marketplace in the US is about $5 billion a year in RV rentals. Wow. And I've heard all kinds of estimates that the number of RVs is up to 200,000 units. But there's demand for about 35 million transactions a year. And this is all data before COVID. So, it's a little bit more than that now. And that red line at the top at 1.2 million represents the capacity of, those 200,000 units. Looks like a big number, but you'll notice it's by the week. The summer months and the summer weeks are completely sold out. And this is a graph for Southern California, actually. So you do have also a lot of rentals in the 7th, 8th, and 9th week, which is people's spring break. And week 11, which used to be Coachella, that wouldn't be there now. That's just been moved somewhere else. That'll be in week, there's talking about putting that in the fall. But this is what the excess demand looks like pre-COVID, those green bars. That's what's not being met. It's pretty graphic, isn't it? And
that was one of my questions was, is there still demand on top of that 1.2 billion line? And it looks like there's a lot of demand.
Huge. And you'll notice it's all in the summer and extremely spiky. So July 4th is like the Super Bowl for RVing, etc. But, so it sounds insane. Why wouldn't there be more RVs for rent? And the real reason is because of that seasonality. When you look at that blue area, the red area is larger than the blue area. And if that red capacity line floated up, so if more units got added, the red area increases faster than the blue area. So certainly people can come into the marketplace and get market share and do well. But overall, as more units are being added to the fleet becomes less and less profitable, and somebody will drop off at the bottom. And so when you actually derive the supply curve, it looks like this. And so you read it from left to right. If there's less than 100,000 units in the marketplace, it's just going to be too profitable for the people who are in the industry, and more people are going to come into the marketplace. But right at about 175 to 200,000 units, the supply curve crosses over 120 days average rentals. And that's what you need to do to be profitable. And so as the fleet gets bigger, there's less and less rental days per unit available, and you're going to see people dropping off. So I don't know if that makes sense, but the way people who are thinking of renting their RVs, there's two types of people who would want to rent their RV. There's professional, they're going to run a fleet, they're going to run this like a business, and that's all they have the RV for, is to rent it out. For those people, the way they typically price is they'll take all the cost of running and maintaining and depreciating that RV, all the costs, and divide it by 100, and that's the nightly rate. And so if they rent it out 100 nights, they break even, and they're all striving for 120 nights a year, and that's a 20% profit margin. And that's kind of how they work it. For individuals, it's a little different, but if you rent out your RV on some of the peak weekends, like July 4th and the local, other long weekend, you can pretty much pay for your RV after just 2 or 3 transactions a year. And one of the things we did was, part of this cost curve. So a couple of things that I think COVID has done is it's definitely increased the demand for RVing. So prices did go up. So you're going to see more people coming into the marketplace. It's more profitable for the existing fleets, which is great. But what we did was, on our product, one of the biggest barriers to entry before was you had to have commercial RV rental insurance. And that's expensive, and it was a monthly premium you had to pay as the RV owner, whether you were renting or not. And what we did was we created a variable insurance product. So you only pay the insurance on a nightly basis. So if you're not renting it, you don't pay any premiums. And so that lets individuals come in and just do it casually and really soak up some of this peak demand on July 4th, et cetera. And it also allows fleets to become more profitable and maybe add more units. The other thing we did was we took the premium and we moved it from the price elastic party, the party that really cares about money, which is the party renting out their RV. They're just trying to make money. And we moved it to the party that, is less price sensitive. They just want the RV trip. So the guest pays the nightly insurance premium. And on our site, that varies from $70 a night for the really nicest, biggest RV down to $25 a night for the least, trailers and less expensive RVs. And again, we cover $1 million liability, which is unique in the industry, and damage to the RV, if there's an accident. So and that's just been going gangbusters this summer, as you can imagine. And maybe I'll take you to the site and just show you how easy it is to find an RV to rent. So this is our homepage. And right here, you can search by the class in your area. So let's just say Class C, and bam, it's all the Class Cs that are in your zip code. So right now I was looking at Atlanta, Georgia, but there's an example.
Yeah, that does make it easy. That's nice.
Yeah.
So you guys really rent pretty much anything. I mean, the large Class A's to just everything, huh?
All kinds, and we have some really cool Class A's on there. Some that are I'd have to find it. I don't know, Richard, if you want to find it and maybe share your screen. It's like a rock and roll RV, completely juried
like
out.
A tour bus?
Yeah, like a rock and roll tour bus, and the host will actually drive it for you and get you there because it is so huge and so intimidating. Yeah, if you go to our site, here's our little.
I like that kind of service.
Yeah, driver included.
Yeah. Because driving, I'm sure for most people is the scary part of it. A vehicle, especially like you're talking about our rock and roll tour bus size. That's going to intimidate 90% of the population if they've never driven.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just like, whatever, I'll take it on, but.
Hey, I just want to show you then something that's a really good point. But another thing that we're seeing a lot of our hosts do is they'll deliver the RV. So you just pull up, even if it's a trailer. So this is a real popular feature for trails, and you can search by that. You can filter whether delivery is available, and then you'll only see RVs where the host is willing to deliver them. And that's super popular. You don't have to tow the trailer. You just pull up with your Volkswagen Beetle or whatever you're driving, and it's all set up and done professionally, so you don't have to worry about it. So that's another nice feature. And hosts usually will do that, if it's within 50 miles or whatever. Yeah, so we take care of everything. You can see right here, you specify your dates, and then you can this one has all kinds of add-ons like a PA sound system. I'm sure people would appreciate that when you roll up to the campsite and put a concert on. And it just adds it all up, and this one's expensive because it is real high end.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome product, but that's not typical.
It's more about having the experience, and we have some hosts that go above and beyond and create an overall experience for the guests versus just renting an RV for a week or a weekend.
Yeah,
right.
Which is cool.
Yeah. What about miles, Paul? How is that something that's based from person to person of the renter of how far somebody's allowed to take the RV?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. Each host really sets their own prices and their own policies. Obviously, there's no miles for trailers, but for motorhomes, yeah, there's typically a certain number of miles included per day, and we see typically there 100 or more miles per day. And if you do go over that, then there's a mileage charge. But also, some hosts, I mean, it's really part of the discussion with the host, how far are you going to go with this RV? Because even though there's a surcharge on the mileage, some hosts may not want a very long trip. We have other hosts that don't mind at all. Like we have a couple of really large fleets on our platform, and I'll go back to showing you in the search results. You can also search by one-way rentals. And so we have El Monte on our site, which is the second largest fleet. We have a couple of other large fleets. And for instance, El Monte has almost 40 locations across the US. So you can rent an RV to go from one place to another. And so you can do one-way rentals. And we're also, I believe, unique in letting people search for that because we're really, frankly, the only site where there's large fleets because, we don't have any fees. So if you're going to be on the internet, you might as well be on RVnGO.
Have you found that typically somebody that, say they're just doing this on the side, maybe a little bit, maybe they have an RV, they're renting it out when they're not using it. Do you find that they enjoy it so much that they make this a little bit more than just a side thing and grow from that one? Do they purchase a second one and do it? Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, no, I have. There's a great story about that. I'll try and find her, but one of our hosts, I actually did a TV interview with her, and that was exactly her story. She had a large Class A. Her husband got sick, and they weren't able to use it anymore, and she couldn't really sell it, and it was just sitting there. So she decided to rent it out, and it went so well that not only was she able to, not only to help her meet her bills, she now has 5 RVs. And, that's about as much as she is comfortable doing herself. And so she's renting it out, and that's really her main source of income and for them in retirement. And so,
good for her.
So that's very typical story. We just announced this. We're really excited about it. If you're a Dreamtrips member, and that's one of the largest private travel clubs in the world, we've arranged a special discount for those members when they're on our site. So if you join Dreamtrips, it's worth it just to join Dreamtrips and get your discount on that. And we've got a few other travel clubs that are coming. So Dreamtrips is like Expedia, but there's a membership fee for it. But for that, you get some pretty amazing discounts and deals. The host can initiate a transaction themselves. So when they go to their fleet, they can actually start a transaction. So if I go to right here, I would just enter the first name, last name, and email address. And then they can send that as, basically a PO to a guest they may have. So it might be somebody in their Rolodex or their database, and they want to send them a quote. So they can initiate the transaction. And the last one we do, and we have a few fleets that do this, actually competing listing sites but they're smaller. It's an insurance-only transaction. So if you originate the transaction on Facebook or whatever, you already had it booked, you can just come on here and just get the insurance for that transaction. You need to list your RV, and then you just do an insurance-only transaction. So in that way, it is open to everyone, but you do need to go through our platform. That's the system that kind of checks it. So the public can come in, but they just have to join our platform.
Boy, that second feature you showed with a person being able to initiate, with a owner being able to initiate a transaction with a renter, that I think that's really cool. And it does show that it really is true peer-to-peer, it seems like to me, when you're able to do that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one other feature here in the host dashboard, we give the hosts their guests. So it's like your own customer relationship manager. Anybody who, so this is a test account, but anybody who's rented from you, you can just go back and see what they've rented and ask, send them another quote. They're in your system. You can export it. You can, we want you to be able to run your business right out of here. Basically, this is the only software you need to run your business other than accounting software,
I would say now the first step is to go to RVnGO.
Yeah, I mean, two things. Yeah, if you want to rent an RV, I think I showed you how easy it is. But also, if you want to make money on your RV, it's super easy to list an RV. It really takes 5 minutes. And once you're listed, you then get the host dashboard and some things we provide here for our host too. You can click this button and it'll give you the embed code to put on your own website. So
that's cool.
Right there. If you need to block dates, really simple. Like I want to take it out, this is for this. Now those dates are blocked and they're no longer available to search. Super easy. But I'll show you. It's just 7 steps to list it. So step 1 is just the basic info. And probably the thing that takes the most time is going down and taking a photo of your VIN number and getting that in here. But just basic info. Then just declaring how much insurance you're going to need, $200,000. But if you have a less expensive RV, maybe it's only worth $10,000, or there's lower levels, and then the premiums are lower as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then just any details, and here for rent or for sale, and this is where and then the pricing. And so so it's already built for purchase price and nightly rate, your rates. And this is a really powerful feature too. Let's say you want to do an add-on. You can basically describe anything, put a price to it, and describe it. So maybe it's a delivery service, maybe it's a kitchen package, maybe it's, something like that. And this was your question about, what miles are included. And you set it all here as a host. Is there a generator? How many free hours? And is there a towing? Because some RVs, you can tow a car behind it. And then you can upload a video, you can upload your photos, very simple, and then features, what does it have, and then finish. That's it. So it's as easy as that. And we have 2 programs. We have just by listing your RV, you get 100% of your booking because we don't take any fees. But if you refer somebody and they list their RV, we'll pay you a $100 referral fee for doing that. And you can go to our site and get a link, or when they list their RV, enter your email and you'll get that $100 fee for referring that listing. And we also pay a $50 fee for somebody who refers a guest to our site and they book. So those 2 affiliate programs are out there.